They say that beauty is not something you chase, but something you remember. In Japan, where the morning mist kisses the mountains and time itself seems to move slower, there exists a quiet understanding that youth is not a product of the skin, but a reflection of the spirit. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger does not begin in a mirror, nor does it end with a cream. It begins in silence. It begins in the water that boils before dawn, in the ritual of preparing the first tea, in the calm devotion to the ordinary moments that most of the world has forgotten. There is something sacred in the way the Japanese approach life. It is as if they believe the divine hides in the smallest things, in the fragrance of green tea, in the sound of rain on a paper wall, in the way a person bows not to show respect to another, but to align their spirit with humility itself. The secret to their timelessness lies in this invisible harmony, where the physical and spiritual are never separate. In every breath, there is awareness. In every sip, a blessing. And in that awareness, the body learns to heal itself. The Western world has often searched for youth in laboratories, chasing formulas and treatments. Yet the East whispers that the secret has always been in your own rhythm, the way you wake, the way you eat, the way you think, and even the way you forgive. In Japan, the morning ritual is not hurried. It is a ceremony of life. A woman of 70 will rise before the sun, wash her face with water that has rested overnight in a clay bowl, then whisper gratitude to it before it touches her skin. She believes that water carries memory, that its structure changes with intention. Modern science has only recently begun to explore what their ancestors always knew, that the vibration of love, kindness, and calm transforms the molecular patterns of water. And because our bodies are made mostly of it, our emotions shape our health. To look younger, she does not fight age, she harmonizes with it. In the small town of Okinawa, known for its abundance of centenarians, the elders' skin glows not because of any external secret, but because their hearts are light. They live by the principle of ikigai, the reason to wake up each morning. It is not about ambition or achievement, but about alignment. To have purpose is to have energy, and energy is life. When you live with purpose, your cells vibrate differently. They repair, they renew, they listen to the rhythm of your soul instead of the noise of your stress. That is the Japanese secret, not one potion, but a sacred relationship with life itself. The true ritual begins with the heart, but reveals itself through the body. Take the skin, to them it is a canvas of spirit. They nourish it not with expensive serums, but with balance. Seaweed from the Pacific, rich in minerals. Rice water, fermented gently for days, that carries enzymes capable of regenerating. Matcha, the green gift of the tea fields, cleansing from within. But more than ingredients, it is the ritual, the mindfulness with which they prepare each step, that holds the real magic. When they grind the tea, they do it slowly, feeling its scent rise. When they wash their faces, they do not rush. They see it as an act of purification, a way to cleanse not only the dust of the day, but the thoughts that have attached to them. They know that every touch carries intention. To touch your own face with love is to command your cells to awaken. Science, centuries later, would try to explain what monks and healers already practiced, that our emotions release biochemical signals and our cells respond. Gratitude lowers inflammation. Meditation stabilizes hormones. Calm thoughts enhance repair. The Japanese healers did not have laboratories, but they had observation of nature, of stillness, of cause and effect. They knew that when you eat, you are not just feeding the body, you are feeding the vibration of your life. So they eat slowly, in silence, honoring every bite. They eat what the earth provides that season, believing that what grows near you carries the frequency your body needs. This balance between nature and self is what the West forgot. The younger face they carry is not the result of denial of time, but the acceptance of it. They live close to nature's cycles. They rise with the light, rest with the dark. Their skin follows the same rhythm, detoxifying at night, breathing in daylight. They protect it not from age, but from disconnection, because what truly ages the body is not years, but resistance. The resistance to what is, to who you are, to the flow of life itself. That resistance hardens not only the mind, but also the skin. The Japanese understand softness as strength. Bamboo bends with the wind and never breaks. The same law applies to the human heart. If you walk through the temples of Kyoto, you will notice something in the air, a stillness that feels alive. The monks there follow a discipline called misogi, a purification ritual that involves water. At dawn, they walk to the river, immerse themselves in its freezing current and pray. The water is not only washing their bodies, it is washing the noise from their spirits. They believe that clarity begins where the ego dissolves. That water, to pure, flowing, alive, has memory. When you speak to it with intention, it listens. Dr. Masaru Emoto, a Japanese researcher, would later show how water crystals change form depending on the words spoken to them. Love creates perfect symmetry. Hate distorts it. Imagine what years of gratitude could do to your own cells, to your own skin. They know that aging begins the moment gratitude ends, that resentment hardens the face, and forgiveness softens it, that joy brightens the eyes, and fear dulls them. Every emotion you hold writes a line on your skin. This is why they purify daily, not through luxury but through awareness. When they bow before a meal, it is not to tradition, but to energy. It is a silent acknowledgement. I am part of something sacred. That simple act restores youth because it restores connection. And connection is vitality. In the Japanese tea ceremony, known as chanoyu, every movement is deliberate, every sound part of the experience. The host moves with elegance and calm, the guest with reverence. Time slows, breathing synchronizes. The taste of matcha becomes a portal to presence. The green powder, once used by monks to sustain meditation for hours, is more than a drink. It is medicine. Rich in catechins, chlorophyll, and antioxidants, it cleanses the liver, supports the heart, and balances the nervous system. But its deeper power lies in what cannot be measured, the stillness it creates in the soul. In that stillness, the body regenerates. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger is not in defying age, but in mastering stillness. In their culture, simplicity is beauty. The concept of wabi-sabi teaches that perfection is not youth, but authenticity. The crack in the pottery filled with gold in kintsugi becomes more precious because it reveals a story. So too with the human face, each line, a poem of experience. The Japanese woman does not hide her lines. She polishes her spirit so they shine. The energy of acceptance transforms her expression into grace, and grace, unlike beauty, does not fade. The sacred baths of Japan, called onsen, hold another part of the mystery. Deep in the mountains, the mineral springs rise warm from the earth. For centuries, the Japanese have believed these waters to be alive, the breath of the planet itself. When one enters the onsen, it is not a bath, it is a return. The minerals penetrate the skin, improving circulation and detoxifying, but beyond chemistry, the ritual cleanses the energetic field. The heat opens not only pores but emotions. The body releases what the heart has carried too long. In that release, renewal begins. The spirit becomes light again and the skin follows. To look 10 years younger, one must learn what the Japanese never forgot, to slow down enough to hear the whispers of the body, to trust that nature knows how to heal you if you let it. The elder woman of Kyoto who walks the garden barefoot every morning, touching each flower with tenderness, may not know the science of grounding, yet her feet absorb the earth's electrons, neutralizing inflammation and balancing energy. The modern world calls it earthing, but she simply calls it gratitude. The body listens to intention, and the earth responds. In that exchange, vitality is born. In the ancient Japanese scrolls, there are stories of monks who lived past 100 years, with skin as radiant as a child's. They meditated daily, bathed in sacred springs, and practiced hara breathing, deep, slow breathing from the lower abdomen. They believed the hara was the center of life force, the seat of intuition and calm. Breathing from that center harmonized the mind and body, improving circulation and slowing the aging process. Modern studies now reveal that deep diaphragmatic breathing increases oxygenation, lowers stress hormones, and supports cellular repair. The monks were never chasing longevity, they were cultivating balance. Youth became a side effect of peace. Even in their gardens, one can see the philosophy of rejuvenation, balance between stone and moss, shadow and light. The gardeners trim not to perfect, but to harmonize. The same approach guides their skincare rituals, balance, not excess. A rice bran mask, prepared with warm water and honey, cleanses gently. A few drops of camellia oil, massaged with care, nourish deeply. These are not trends, they are acts of devotion. Each movement, each ingredient chosen not for marketing, but for alignment with nature's rhythm. The Japanese see youth as a vibration. It is why their art, their food, their architecture all breathe in harmony. When one eats, they do not multitask. When they walk, they notice the path. Their bodies age, yes, but their spirits never grow old because they live in the present. The Western mind fears wrinkles. The Eastern spirit honors the face as the mirror of the soul's journey. To look young is not to erase time, but to live so aligned that time becomes gentle with you. And yet, hidden within this visible calm is a deeper layer, one that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. It is the field of vibrational medicine, where thoughts and frequencies shape matter. The Japanese language itself carries sounds that soothe. Words like arigato and itadakimasu are not mere phrases. They are vibrations of gratitude that tune the speaker's energy. In that resonance, the nervous system relaxes, the cells regenerate, and the body begins to reflect harmony. What you say, you become. What you believe, you embody. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger, then, is not a secret at all. It is remembrance. It is the remembrance that your body is sacred, that water listens, that gratitude heals, that silence restores. It is remembering that you are not separate from the world, and the world is not separate from you. When you realign with this truth, your face changes, your posture softens, your aura brightens. You do not simply appear younger, you become timeless. And so, as the sun sets behind Mount Fuji, painting the sky with gold and crimson, imagine yourself there in that stillness. The air is cool, the water warm, your breath slow. You whisper softly, "Thank you," to your body, to your heart, to the life that has carried you. And in that simple act you begin to feel it, the sacred alchemy of gratitude and nature, weaving your youth back into being. This is not illusion, it is harmony. And harmony is the true face of youth. In the heart of Japan, beyond the neon glow of Tokyo and the speed of bullet trains, there is another rhythm, one that moves with the heartbeat of the earth itself. It is found in the soft murmurs of temples, in the rustle of bamboo leaves that dance to the wind's invisible melody, and in the ancient belief that the body and the universe are reflections of the same divine order. Those who have walked the mountain paths of Koyasan or stood in silence before the torii gates of Fushimi Inari know this truth. Youth is not preserved through resistance, but through harmony with what never ages, spirit. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger begins in this revelation, that aging is not an enemy to be fought, but a teacher to be understood. The revelation starts with water. In Shinto belief, water is the first purifier, the mirror between the human and the divine. It flows through shrines not merely as decoration, but as life itself, a current that washes away spiritual heaviness. The Japanese word misogi captures this essence, the ritual cleansing of both body and soul through water. Ancient monks would stand beneath waterfalls in winter, letting the freezing rush strike their backs as they chanted sacred prayers. It was not punishment, it was rebirth. To them, every drop was alive, remembering every word, every vibration. When modern scientists like Dr. Masaru Emoto photographed water crystals after exposure to loving words, he was confirming something the ancients already knew: consciousness shapes matter. The Japanese secret rests upon this. When your thoughts are pure, your cells respond. When your heart vibrates in harmony with gratitude, your body rejuvenates from within. In a hidden corner of Kyoto, there is an old tea master who still performs chanoyu as his ancestors did. His hands tremble slightly with age, yet every movement is deliberate, slow, sacred. He says that time itself slows down when one enters the tea room. And perhaps that is true. Inside the tatami-lined space, surrounded by silence, the air thick with the scent of matcha, one begins to feel that youth is not a condition of skin, but of attention. Every moment lived in total presence feeds the soul, and the soul in turn nourishes the body. The tea master smiles as he prepares the tea, not to please, but to align. He stirs clockwise, then counterclockwise, harmonizing yin and yang. When he serves, his eyes soften, his breathing slows. There is no rush, and in that moment he looks ageless. Western eyes see wrinkles as something to erase. The Japanese eyes see them as waves on the surface of water, evidence of movement, of life, of breath. The true work is not to erase, but to calm the current beneath. That calm begins with kokoro, the heart-mind. The Japanese language does not separate heart from mind, for they are one. When the heart is restless, the face tightens. When the mind is peaceful, the face softens. The monks of Mount Hiei once taught a meditation called shikan-taza, just sitting, to sit without desire, without effort, to breathe and let the moment be enough. Those who practiced it noticed something profound. As the mind quieted, their bodies felt lighter, younger. Wrinkles smoothed not by miracle, but by release. This release is central to the Japanese path of rejuvenation. The body is not meant to hold emotion, it is meant to let it flow as rivers do. In the modern world, we store years of grief, resentment, and fear in our muscles, our skin, our breath. These emotions become density, and density is the true weight of age. The Japanese understand that youth is lightness, not the absence of years, but the absence of burden. The act of bathing daily is not mere hygiene, but a symbolic shedding of what the day has left behind. The old woman who sits in her wooden tub at dusk, steam rising around her, closes her eyes and whispers arigato. She thanks the water for carrying away what no longer serves her. She knows that water never keeps what it cleanses. It only flows forward. And so does she. In ancient times, Japanese healers used to prepare rice water by soaking grains overnight, then washing their faces with the milky liquid at dawn. They believed it carried the soul of the harvest, the essence of patience and renewal. Science now shows that fermented rice water contains amino acids, vitamins, and antioxidants that brighten and repair the skin. But the deeper truth lies in the intention, the patience of the process, the devotion of preparation. Nothing in their rituals is rushed, for haste disrupts harmony. In Japan, even beauty requires mindfulness. There is another word that holds a fragment of this secret, wa. It means harmony, balance, peace. It is the root of washoku, the Japanese traditional cuisine recognized by UNESCO as cultural heritage. In their diet lies a silent revelation about longevity and youth. They eat foods that still carry life, fresh vegetables, seaweed, fermented miso, fish rich in omega oils. They eat with gratitude, never to fullness. The phrase harahachibu, eat until you are 80% full, is a wisdom passed through generations. Science would later show that this practice reduces oxidative stress, slows metabolism, and extends lifespan. But the Japanese were never counting calories. They were maintaining equilibrium. To eat with restraint is to teach the body humility. To honor food is to invite the spirit of nourishment itself. Aging in the West has become a battle against time. But in Japan, time is a river, and they have learned how to float. This is why in places like Okinawa, where people live well into their hundreds, there is no obsession with youth, only joy in living. The Okinawan women, their faces lined with years of laughter, walk the same paths daily, tending to their gardens, cooking for friends. They speak of nuchi gusui, food as medicine, not medicine for disease, but for the spirit. They drink green tea infused with turmeric, seaweed, or jasmine, balancing the elements of earth and air within. Every sip is prayer, every breath is gratitude, and their bodies, in turn, respond with vitality. The true revelation is that youth is not stored in the body, but in the energy field surrounding it. The Japanese healers call this ki, the life force. It is the current that animates every living thing. When ki flows freely, health and beauty radiate effortlessly. When it stagnates, illness and aging follow. Practices like Reiki, born from Japan, were created to restore this flow. The healer places their hands gently above the body, channeling universal energy through intention. It may sound mystical, but science is beginning to explore this field of bioenergy. The magnetic resonance of touch, the synchronization of heart rhythms between healer and patient, these are measurable now. But the ancients never needed machines. They felt the pulse of the universe in their palms. The Japanese healer does not claim to fix you. They simply remind your body of its own intelligence. One of the most profound rituals connected to rejuvenation in Japan is the morning prayer at Ise Jingu, the most sacred Shinto shrine. Every morning before sunrise, priests walk silently to the river, cleanse their hands and mouths, then enter the inner sanctuary to bow before Amaterasu, the sun goddess. This ritual has continued unbroken for over 2,000 years. The wooden structures of the shrine are rebuilt every 20 years, symbolizing renewal, impermanence, and purity. The same philosophy applies to the human body. It must be renewed constantly. Cells are reborn, thoughts refreshed, emotions released. The rebuilding of Ise Jingu is a mirror for the rebuilding of the self. To look young is to be in a state of constant renewal, not resistance. It is said that the sun never rises the same way twice. The Japanese live by this. Each morning is a rebirth. Each night, a soft death of the day before. Their rituals are gentle reminders that nothing is meant to be held, not even youth. When you stop clinging to it, it stays. That is the paradox of harmony. The revelation deepens when one begins to see how spirituality and science meet in their wisdom. The concept of hara breathing, mentioned by Zen monks, connects to modern understanding of the vagus nerve, the body's master regulator of calm. Deep, slow breathing stimulates it, reducing inflammation, balancing hormones, and slowing visible signs of aging. The ancients called it cultivating Kai. Today it is called activating the parasympathetic system. But the essence is the same. Peace heals faster than any medicine. There are women in Japan who swear by a practice called Reishin, the mirror meditation. They sit before a mirror in silence, gaze softly into their own reflection, and whisper words of kindness. It is said to awaken the inner light. At first it feels strange, but over time something shifts. The lines on their faces begin to look softer, their eyes brighter. Neuroscience now understands why. The practice triggers oxytocin and serotonin, the same chemicals associated with love and healing. But they never needed data, they needed devotion. The mirror, they say, is the gateway to the divine within. The more lovingly you look at yourself, the more your body believes it. The Japanese secret is not mystical fantasy. It is the perfect union of vibration and intention. Their ancestors understood that the same energy that moves tides and seasons moves within us. This is why the gardens of Kyoto mirror the patterns of the cosmos, circular ponds, flowing paths, balance between rock and moss. To walk through them is to walk through the geometry of youth itself, fluid, centered, timeless. In the old villages of Nara, healers once used chants to harmonize the organs. Each sound corresponded to a frequency, one for the heart, one for the liver, one for the lungs. They believed illness began as disharmony of sound and healing began with tone. Modern studies now show that sound frequencies can indeed affect molecular structures and promote regeneration. The Japanese word kotodama means spirit of words. Every word carries life force. To speak in kindness is to infuse your body with symmetry. To curse or complain is to distort your vibration. Those who practice kotodama daily, whispering affirmations of gratitude, report not only peace of mind, but a visible glow to their faces. Perhaps it is not coincidence. Perhaps the face is the echo of the soul's song. When the West invented anti-aging serums, Japan refined the art of stillness. When the world chased results, they cultivated rituals. Their wisdom does not sell quick miracles. It teaches patience, the kind of patience that lets a flower bloom without pulling its petals. The secret to looking younger is not to fight time, but to walk beside it. To age is to accumulate stories, not scars. To live in harmony is to glow without trying. And so the revelation is this: The fountain of youth is not hidden in a mountain or sealed in a potion. It flows through you with every breath, every thought, every act of presence. The Japanese have simply remembered how to drink from it, through silence, gratitude, and ritual. When the tea master bows to his guest, when the monk stands beneath the waterfall, when the elder whispers thanks to her rice water, they are all performing the same act: alignment. And in alignment, the impossible happens. Time bends and the eternal becomes visible. There is a moment in every journey when knowledge becomes embodiment, when understanding transcends theory and begins to breathe through the body. This is the phase the Japanese call kokoro no hiraki, the opening of the heart. It is in this space that transformation occurs, not through force, but through remembrance. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger reaches its true depth here, where wisdom becomes ritual and ritual becomes healing. What began as curiosity, a fascination with beauty and longevity, now reveals itself as something far greater, a spiritual rebirth through harmony with the unseen forces of nature. The transformation starts with surrender. To let go of resistance is to allow the current of life to move through you again. Imagine a stream blocked by stones, tension, worry, self-criticism, and see how the water slows, how stagnation forms. Now imagine removing those stones one by one, not by struggle but by awareness. This is what the Japanese practice daily through their rituals of calm. The act of washing one's face in the morning becomes an act of renewal. The simple gesture of brushing the hair is done with mindfulness, each stroke a silent blessing. These are not habits, they are prayers in motion. Every movement, every breath becomes a language of care, and care itself is a sacred vibration. The Japanese understand that what you give attention to, you give life to. When attention is given to the act of nurturing, the body responds by flowering from within. In the gardens of Kyoto, the caretakers never rush. They tend each stone, each moss patch, as though it were alive, because to them it is. That same philosophy applies to the body. You are not a collection of parts to be fixed. You are a living garden of energy, each cell a leaf, each breath a breeze. When you tend to yourself with the same reverence that a gardener tends to his garden, the body aligns with vitality. The skin glows not because of what is placed upon it, but because the energy within it is free of turbulence. Aging is simply the loss of flow. To restore youth, one must restore movement, not just physical, but emotional and energetic. The Japanese healer knows that transformation cannot occur in a noisy mind. The mind must be stilled, like the surface of a pond, for the reflection of truth to appear. This is why they meditate not to escape, but to listen. Deep meditation activates what they call the hara no chikara, the power of the belly. Modern physiology has discovered that the gut is the second brain, producing the same neurotransmitters that influence mood and longevity. The monks of old intuited this, placing their awareness there during long hours of zazen. They believed that breathing from the hara connects you to the earth's magnetic rhythm, allowing the body to synchronize with cosmic order. In that synchronization, aging slows. The heartbeat aligns with the earth's Schumann resonance. The brain waves settle into coherence, and the body enters a state of repair. Transformation also manifests through nourishment. The Japanese approach food not as consumption, but as communion. Every ingredient carries a spirit, and to eat without reverence is to disrupt the harmony of the elements. When they prepare miso soup, it is more than a meal. It is an alchemical process. The fermented miso paste, alive with beneficial bacteria, represents earth. The dashi broth drawn from seaweed and fish represents water. The steam that rises carries air, and the warmth that comforts the body represents fire. In consuming it, one balances the four elements within. Western science calls it probiotics, minerals, and enzymes, but beneath the language of science lies the truth of vibration. Harmony nourishes, imbalance corrodes. The Japanese do not eat to fill, they eat to align. The elders of Okinawa have another secret word, yuimaru, the spirit of community. They believe that isolation ages faster than time. Every shared meal, every laugh, every gentle act of helping another is an elixir. Studies show that strong social bonds increase lifespan and lower inflammation, but the deeper wisdom is that love renews. The skin reflects it, the eyes mirror it, the face becomes a map of kindness. The more love you circulate, the younger you appear, for the body understands connection as safety, and safety as the permission to heal. Transformation requires purification. The onsen baths scattered across Japan are sanctuaries for this purpose. The minerals of sulfur, magnesium, and silica draw toxins out, but the real transformation happens in the stillness of soaking. The steam rises, the body relaxes, and the soul exhales. In those moments, the water becomes a teacher. It shows that healing is not in doing, but in allowing. The body, once released from the armor of tension, begins to remember how to regenerate. In that state of surrender, the flow of ki, life force, returns. What Western medicine calls self-repair is, to the Japanese, the dance of divine energy rediscovering its path through the human form. To look younger, one must first learn to feel younger, not through denial, but through reconnection. The Japanese concept of seijaku, meaning stillness amidst activity, teaches that peace is not found in retreat from the world, but in moving through it with serenity. The old calligrapher who paints a single stroke for hours until it feels alive is not aging as he works. He is entering timelessness. His breathing slows, his heart rate stabilizes, his nervous system enters coherence. Each brushstroke is a meditation, and through that meditation, the line of ink becomes a mirror of his soul. When he finishes, the character glows, not from the ink, but from the energy within it. So too with a human being. When every action is done from inner stillness, the glow returns. Transformation also unfolds in silence. The Japanese practice of ma, the sacred pause, is a discipline that the modern world has forgotten. It is the space between sounds, between breaths, between thoughts. To Western logic it seems empty, but to the Japanese it is full of potential. It is where renewal occurs. In ma, the body finds rhythm again. The cells, released from the storm of stress, begin their quiet repair. It is in these pauses that the invisible work of rejuvenation happens. When one truly lives with ma, aging ceases to be linear. It becomes cyclical, like the moon, waxing, waning, but always returning. There is a story told by an old monk from Mount Koya. A young disciple asked him how he managed to look so radiant at 80. The monk smiled and said, "I have died many times." The disciple was confused until the monk explained, "Each night I let my worries die before I sleep. Each morning I am born anew." This is the ultimate transformation, death without dying, to shed every yesterday so that today may be unburdened. Modern science confirms what he knew intuitively. During sleep, the body performs its deepest cellular repair. Growth hormone is released. The brain detoxifies. The skin rebuilds. But if one goes to bed full of unrest, that process is interrupted. The Japanese have long prepared for rest as they would for a sacred ceremony, bathing, drinking warm tea, dimming the lights, thanking the day. They understood that the body listens to rituals, and rituals teach the body peace. Peace, in turn, teaches the skin to glow. The transformation of youth is not about the passage of time. It is about the density of energy. A person filled with resentment carries heavy energy. It pulls the features downward. A person filled with gratitude radiates lightness. It lifts the face upward. The Japanese have a phrase, utsukushi kokoro, a beautiful heart. To them, it is the true skincare routine. They say that beauty without a beautiful heart is like a lantern without a candle. It shines only until the sun sets. The cultivation of utsukushi kokoro is a daily practice. It is found in bowing before others, in the care of handwriting, in the tenderness of a spoken thank you. These small acts polish the inner mirror, and that mirror reflects outward as youthful grace. In Japan, even the act of cleaning is sacred. The practice of osuji, the grand cleaning at the end of the year, is not merely to tidy homes, but to clear stagnant energy. Every corner is dusted, every object wiped with care, as incense fills the air. Families believe that new blessings cannot enter where old energy remains. This is true for the body as well. When you clear emotional clutter, regrets, grudges, guilt, you make space for new vitality. Emotional purification is more potent than any lotion. Tears themselves are a sacred solvent, carrying away the chemistry of sorrow. The Japanese do not see tears as weakness, but as a form of misogi, inner cleansing. After crying, one's eyes shine brighter, one's face softens. The spirit, having emptied itself, becomes light again. Transformation also happens through beauty that awakens the senses. The Japanese art of ikebana, flower arrangement, teaches balance through simplicity. The practitioner places each stem with awareness of its angle, its space, its relationship to the whole. This practice trains the eye and the soul to find elegance in minimalism. When applied to life, it teaches you to remove excess, not just objects but emotions, obligations, thoughts. The less clutter within, the more energy flows. The more energy flows, the more life expresses itself through you as radiance. In this way, ikebana is not about flowers. It is about the alignment of the inner and outer worlds. As transformation deepens, one begins to realize that aging gracefully is not passive acceptance, but active harmony. It is a dance with impermanence. The Japanese cherish impermanence through the concept of mono-no-aware, the gentle sadness of transient beauty. Cherry blossoms, for instance, are celebrated not because they last, but because they don't. Their fleetingness makes them sacred. To see beauty in impermanence is to transcend the fear of loss. And when fear dissolves, the body relaxes into timelessness. The lines on the face become poems of experience rather than reminders of decay. The eyes, freed from anxiety, sparkle with life. The transformation of youth is not to go backward but to go inward. The Japanese do not seek to return to who they were. They seek to become more aligned with who they are. In that alignment, energy flows without resistance. To age becomes a privilege, a refinement of essence. The elders are honored not because they are old, but because they have become living symbols of balance. Their serenity teaches more than their years. When they smile, the air around them seems to soften. That is the vibration of wisdom. And so the transformation completes its circle. The outer beauty that Western culture chases is nothing more than the reflection of inner peace. When the mind, heart, and body move as one, youth returns like spring after a long winter. The skin remembers softness, the breath remembers rhythm, the soul remembers joy, and in that remembrance, time itself bows. There comes a moment when the path of renewal stops being about change and becomes about remembrance. The Japanese call this satori, the sudden awakening of awareness that was always there. It is the moment when the fog lifts and you realize the secret was never hidden. It was simply waiting for you to become still enough to see it. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger is not a formula but a frequency, one that awakens when body and spirit finally breathe in the same rhythm. In this state, beauty ceases to be a goal and becomes a side effect of alignment. This awakening does not come through effort, but through surrender, the surrender of control, of self-judgment, of the obsession with perfection. It is the realization that the most radiant faces in the world belong not to those untouched by time, but to those who have made peace with it. When awakening begins, something extraordinary happens in the body. The nervous system, once locked in survival, begins to loosen its grip. The breath deepens, the heartbeat steadies, and energy begins to move as it did in childhood, fluidly, joyfully, freely. This is the return to innocence the mystics spoke of. The Japanese know this state as shin-shin ichinyo, the unity of mind and body. When the mind stops fighting and the body stops defending, they merge into a single vibration of wholeness. In that wholeness, aging slows because the organism no longer feels separate from life. It becomes part of the same intelligence that keeps oceans flowing and stars burning. Science now approaches this truth in its own language. Studies on meditation show that DNA telomeres, the tiny caps that protect chromosomes, shorten more slowly in those who live in states of calm and gratitude. The body's biochemistry mirrors belief. The monks of Japan always said that the body is the temple of the spirit. Now science calls it a field of frequency. The Japanese have long known that when you align with nature's vibration, you harmonize with eternity itself. A cherry blossom does not strive to bloom, it simply follows the sun. The same law governs the human being when they awaken. This awakening often begins in silence. In the temple gardens of Kamakura, monks sweep leaves with quiet reverence. They are not cleaning, they are meditating. The act itself is sacred, for it mirrors the clearing of the mind. One of the monks once said that when he sweeps the path, he is really sweeping his own heart. That is what awakening feels like. The removal of mental debris, the clearing of energetic dust. When the inner pathways open, light flows again. It is not metaphorical, it is literal. Photons, particles of light, are emitted from every living cell, and their coherence increases in meditative states. The Japanese healers call it Hikari no Kokoro, the heart of light. When the heart of light is awakened, the body glows. You have seen it before, a face that seems illuminated from within, not by makeup or youth, but by serenity. Awakening reveals that beauty is not something to be achieved, but something that radiates from inner equilibrium. The Japanese word kiyome means purification, but it also means returning to essence. When you purify thoughts, emotions, and intentions, what remains is essence, the original brilliance of your being. This essence cannot age, for it is timeless. The Japanese sages believed that illness and decay were shadows cast by separation from essence. To realign with it is to step back into the eternal current. The more one lives in purity, of thought, word, and action, the lighter the energy becomes. That lightness expresses itself as vitality. The skin reflects it, the eyes carry it, the voice transmits it. Awakening also brings with it a new relationship with time. The Japanese call time tokinowa, the circle of time. It is not linear, but cyclical, always returning, always renewing. When you see life as a circle, aging becomes part of the dance. Youth gives way to maturity, maturity to wisdom, wisdom to stillness, and stillness to renewal. The cycle feeds itself. The fear of time vanishes, and with it the stress that ages. When one awakens to this circular nature, each moment becomes precious, each experience sacred. Even a single sip of tea can hold eternity. In Okinawa, elders often speak of nankurunaisa, a phrase that means, everything will be all right. It is not naive optimism, it is spiritual surrender. It is the understanding that nature has its own intelligence, and when you live in harmony with it, life unfolds perfectly. This faith releases tension from the body, and tension, more than time, is the true cause of aging. The skin tightens where the spirit resists. The lines deepen where emotions are held. When you whisper Nankuru Naisa, you are telling your body, you are safe. And when the body feels safe, it begins to restore itself. The awakening also redefines the concept of beauty itself. In Japan, the idea of yugen speaks of a beauty too deep to be seen, the kind that evokes mystery, melancholy, and reverence. It is the beauty of moonlight reflected on water, of an old poem half remembered, of a smile that carries wisdom and pain. When a person awakens, their beauty transforms into yugen. It is no longer loud or desperate. It becomes quiet, magnetic, eternal. The face softens not because it hides age, but because it has accepted it with grace. The body relaxes into its natural rhythm, and the spirit shines through. That is the secret behind the ageless elegance of the Japanese elders. Their beauty is not skin deep, it is soul deep. The scientists of today speak of quantum coherence, the state in which all parts of a system vibrate in harmony. The mystics of Japan have always lived it. The temple bells of Nara are not just sound, they are vibration medicine. When the bell rings, its tone ripples through the body, reorganizing energy into order. The same happens when a person lives in awareness. Their words, their thoughts, their gestures become coherent frequencies that influence not only their own selves, but also the space around them. People feel peaceful in their presence because their energy is ordered. The Japanese call this heijoshin, the calm heart. A calm heart changes the chemistry of the body more than any medicine could. As awakening deepens, gratitude becomes a natural state. Gratitude, to the awakened mind, is not an emotion. It is a frequency that aligns with creation itself. The Japanese expression itadakimasu, said before every meal, is more than politeness. It means, I humbly receive, a prayer of unity with the hands that prepared the food, the rain that nourished it, the soil that birthed it. When you eat in this vibration, digestion improves, metabolism harmonizes, and the body glows with health. Modern science has found that gratitude lowers cortisol, boosts immunity, and lengthens lifespan. But to the Japanese, it is not a technique. It is a way of being. Gratitude makes the soul young because it keeps the heart open. Awakening brings vision, the ability to see life through the eyes of reverence. The Japanese have a custom called shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. It is the practice of walking through forests slowly, allowing the senses to absorb the energy of the trees. The body relaxes, the heart rate slows, and the mind clears. Scientists discovered that trees release phytoncides, compounds that boost the immune system. But the spiritual truth goes deeper. The trees lend their rhythm to your breath. You begin to breathe with the forest, to think with the wind, to feel with the earth. This unity restores the soul's original resonance, and in that resonance, youth returns. The awakening is not only personal, it is universal. The Japanese believe in kami, divine spirits that dwell in all things, in rocks, rivers, winds, even objects. When you awaken, you begin to see this divine presence everywhere. You stop treating the world as inert and start living in communion with it. This shift changes everything. You move more gently. You eat with awareness. You sleep in gratitude. You speak with kindness. These small acts are cosmic harmonies, and your body, being part of the cosmos, responds. The cells that once aged under stress begin to sing again, their vibration aligning with life's eternal song. In the villages where the traditions remain pure, you can still find women in their 80s with skin smooth as porcelain, laughter bright as morning. Ask them their secret, and they will tell you, shiawase no kokoro, a happy heart. It sounds simple, but it is profound. A happy heart is not one without pain. It is one that transforms pain into wisdom. Every sorrow becomes softness. Every challenge becomes gratitude. This alchemy of emotion is what keeps them radiant. Where others contract from suffering, they expand. Where others resent time, they embrace it. And in that embrace, time becomes a friend. The awakening also transforms one's relationship with the mirror. In the unawakened state, the mirror is an enemy, a place where judgment begins. But to the awakened, the mirror is sacred. It reflects not flaws, but lessons. Each line is a memory, each shadow a reminder of the life lived. The Japanese practice of reikan, spiritual sensitivity, teaches that the face is a reflection of the soul's weather. When the soul is sunny, the face shines. When the soul is cloudy, the face dims. To awaken is to remember that the weather can always change. You can invite sunlight at will, through thought, breath, love. The mirror becomes an altar of self-communion, not self-criticism. And then there is the light that science cannot measure, the light of presence. When a person truly awakens, their presence itself becomes medicine. You have felt it before. Being near someone who makes you feel calm without saying a word. This is rei, the subtle energy of spirit that the Japanese recognize in all things. When rei flows freely, it brings healing to every living being around. A person filled with rei needs no makeup, no secrets, no masks. Their beauty is undeniable because it emanates from the truth. This awakening is the real Japanese secret, the sacred merging of spirituality and simplicity. The tea, the bath, the bow, the silence, all are doors to remembrance. The Japanese have never chased youth. They have cultivated harmony. They know that youth cannot be kept by force but can be invited by vibration. When your thoughts become pure, your words kind, your actions mindful, your body aligns with divine geometry. In that geometry, aging loses meaning. You become a reflection of eternity itself. As the dawn rises over Mount Fuji, mist curling through the cedars, imagine standing there, breathing that sacred air. The first rays of light touch your face and you feel it, that ageless energy stirring in your chest. You understand what the Japanese have always known. Youth is not in the body but in the spirit that animates it. It is the light of awareness flowing through matter, the divine remembering itself in human form. When you awaken to that, you are not 10 years younger, you are timeless. There is a silence that comes after revelation, not the silence of absence but of completion. It is the same silence that lingers after rain, when the earth exhales, when everything seems cleaner, softer, more alive. In Japan they call that moment Shizuka na Toki, the quiet hour. It is in that hour that the truth settles into the soul, not as an idea, but as a knowing. This is the final phase of the journey, the reflection, when the ancient secret no longer feels foreign but familiar, as though your cells have remembered an old language they once spoke fluently. The Japanese secret to looking 10 years younger was never about the skin. It was about coming home to the natural harmony that once guided every breath of life. When you reach this point, the world looks different. The same morning light that you once took for granted now feels sacred. The air itself seems filled with quiet intelligence. You begin to understand what the monks of Kyoto meant when they said, "To see clearly is to love deeply." The awakening you experienced has rearranged your perception of beauty, of time, of self. You no longer chase youth, you embody renewal. Every thought becomes a seed, every act a ritual, every day a small ceremony of existence. In this reflection, you realize that the Japanese never sought to look younger. They sought to live beautifully, and beauty became their reward. The reflection begins with gratitude. It is said that in Japan, gratitude is the foundation of all longevity. It begins before dawn, when an old woman kneels before her small household shrine, lighting incense and bowing 3 times, once for the ancestors, once for the living, and once for all unseen forces that sustain her. She whispers "Arigatou gozaimasu," not to anyone in particular, but to everything. Gratitude has no object. It is the frequency of unity itself. When the heart vibrates with thanks, it invites grace into every cell. The body relaxes, the mind quiets, the spirit expands. This is the true rejuvenation, not a reversal of age, but a return to wholeness. The Japanese understand that reflection is a living practice. It is not memory, but awareness. The concept of hansei, self-reflection, is woven into their culture. It is the habit of looking inward each evening, not with guilt but with curiosity. Did I live in harmony today? Did I bring peace or disturbance to the world around me? This daily introspection keeps the spirit light. It prevents the accumulation of energetic debris. The West measures youth in years. The East measures it in the absence of heaviness. A clear heart reflects light like water reflects the moon. When you practice hansei, you cleanse the emotional field, and the glow of your spirit returns to the surface. In the reflective phase, you also begin to notice the sacred rhythm of impermanence. The cherry blossoms bloom and fall within days, yet they leave behind no sadness, only appreciation. The Japanese do not mourn their passing. They celebrate it in Hanami, the flower viewing festival, where families gather beneath the petals to drink tea, laugh, and share the moment. The beauty of Hanami lies in its awareness that nothing lasts, and that is precisely what makes it beautiful. In embracing impermanence, one transcends the fear of loss, and with it, the fear of aging. Wrinkles become like petals that have fallen and return to the soil, part of the natural cycle of life. The Japanese do not seek to freeze time, they dance within it, and in that dance time becomes tender. Reflection also teaches simplicity. The aesthetic of shibui, understated elegance, runs deep in Japanese life. It is beauty without flash, power without noise. The woman who wears a simple linen kimono and walks slowly through the garden may possess more radiance than a queen adorned in gold. Her serenity is her jewel. Her stillness is her crown. The reflection phase invites you to rediscover shibui in your own life, to release what is unnecessary, to honor what is essential. The less clutter there is around you, the clearer your energy becomes. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication of the soul. As you live this truth, you realize that youth was never lost, it was only buried beneath the noise of striving. The modern world teaches constant motion, constant improvement, constant consumption. But the Japanese way whispers the opposite. Be still and life will find you. The Zazen meditation of the Zen monks is not about emptying the mind. It is about seeing thoughts drift like clouds without holding them. They know that peace cannot be achieved. It must be allowed. In this allowing, the body and mind synchronize with the still rhythm of nature. Aging slows not because you resist it, but because you have entered the same timeless flow that the mountains and rivers follow. In reflection, the smallest gestures become gateways to eternity. The sound of water boiling for tea, the scent of tatami mats warming in sunlight, the feel of silk against the skin. Each sensory experience becomes a form of prayer. The Japanese call this ichigo ichi, one moment, one meeting. It is the belief that every encounter, whether with a person, a taste, or a sound, happens only once in the whole of eternity. To live in that awareness is to be present, and presence is the truest form of youth. For when you are present, time dissolves. The lines on your face, the numbers on a calendar, they no longer define you. You become infinite in a single breath. There is also forgiveness, the quiet medicine that so many forget. In Japan, there is a ceremony known as nai-kan, or inner looking. In it, a person sits in solitude and contemplates 3 questions about another. What have I received from this person? What have I given to them? What troubles have I caused them? Through these reflections, the heart opens and forgiveness naturally flows. The Japanese discovered what psychologists would only confirm centuries later, that forgiveness changes the chemistry of the body, lowering blood pressure, easing muscle tension, even altering gene expression. To forgive is to unburden the soul, and an unburdened soul shines through the body as radiance. As you move deeper into reflection, you begin to feel the hum of life beneath all things. The Japanese word inochi means life force, not in the biological sense, but as the sacred current that animates the universe. When you align with inochi, you begin to sense that the same energy flowing through the ocean flows through your veins. The same rhythm beating in the cicada's song beats in your heart. This realization erases separation. You are no longer an observer of nature. You are part of its endless dance. In this unity, fear fades and vitality returns. You cannot feel old when you feel infinite. The art of reflection also teaches gentleness, with yourself, with others, with time. The Japanese bow is not submission. It is humility. The acknowledgement that we are all part of something greater. When you bow before life, life bows back. The act of humility opens channels in the body that pride keeps closed. Energy begins to circulate again. The old become supple. The weary become light. In that gentle exchange, youth re-enters not through force but through grace. In this quiet phase, one also rediscovers the sacredness of the mundane. The philosopher Daisetsu Suzuki once wrote that enlightenment is not found in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary lived fully. The Japanese have lived this truth for centuries. The folding of a kimono, the sweeping of a floor, the washing of rice, all are acts of meditation. To the Western mind, they may seem trivial, but to the awakened spirit, they are portals. Each repetition polishes the soul. Each small act builds presence. Each moment lived with awareness adds to the glow that no cream or treatment could ever replicate. Reflection reveals the ultimate paradox, that the more you accept imperfection, the more perfect you become. This is the essence of wabi-sabi, the beauty of the imperfect, the impermanent, and the incomplete. A cracked bowl repaired with gold becomes more precious than when it was whole, because its story is visible. So too with the human face. The lines of laughter, the softness around the eyes, the marks of living. These are not flaws but inscriptions of authenticity. The Japanese do not hide them, they illuminate them with grace. To embrace wabi-sabi is to transcend vanity and enter truth. And truth, unlike beauty, does not fade. When reflection becomes way of life, you begin to notice that energy itself obeys your attention. The body listens to your words, your thoughts, your silence. Speak harshly to yourself and it contracts. Speak gently and it blooms. The Japanese call this kotodama, the spirit of words. Every syllable carries power. The phrase daijubu, meaning it's okay, is whispered often in Japan, to children, to friends, to oneself. It is more than comfort, it is healing. It reminds the soul that everything is unfolding as it should. Each daijubu loosens a knot, eases a line, restores the rhythm of youth. In this final phase, you understand that the Japanese secret is not foreign. It is ancestral, universal, woven into the essence of humanity. It lives in every tradition that honors stillness, every prayer spoken over water, every act of care given to the body. Japan simply preserved it. They protected the sacred art of living slowly, of feeling deeply, of honoring the invisible. The secret was never theirs alone. It is the world's inheritance, waiting for anyone willing to listen to silence again. And so, as the reflection deepens, you return to the beginning, to the sound of water, to the touch of sunlight, to the whisper of gratitude. You realize that to look 10 years younger is simply to feel alive again, to wake with purpose, to eat with reverence, to forgive without demand, to move with grace. The skin glows because the soul is at peace. The eyes shine because the heart is open. Time softens its touch because you have remembered how to live in harmony with it. Now, imagine yourself standing before a small pond at dusk. The water is still, a perfect mirror. You lean closer and see your reflection, not as you were, not as you will be, but as you are, infinite, ageless, divine. The Japanese secret was never about appearance. It was about remembrance. You are not a being who ages. You are consciousness flowing through form. When you live in awareness, your body becomes a vessel of light. That light, once awakened, never dims. The silence returns. The air holds its breath. And in that stillness, you finally understand. Youth is not the absence of time, but the presence of harmony. The Japanese never tried to escape age. They became one with it, and in doing so, they transcended it. And now, so have you.